I am very excited about today's video. I don't always buy new things for my sewing room, but when I do, I make sure I tell you about the good ones. So today I have 5 new things I've bought in my sewing room recently, all 5 of them that I am absolutely loving. One of them, the one at the end, is just purely fun. The others are purely functional, and a couple of them I'm pretty mad that I just now bought, and I wish I would have done it sooner. So let's get into it. Okay, this first thing I've been needing for so long because it's always annoyed me so much, no matter what floor I sew on, how my petal always moves around and slides around. In one house I did have like that drawer liner under my petals, and that helped a little bit. It was like a wood floor. But then in my last house was carpet, and it was always getting away from me. And then in this house I have very ugly linoleum in my sewing room. And I use this Husky desk, which has like a bar at the bottom, and so my petal was always sliding underneath the bar. It was super annoying. That made it just annoying enough for me to actually finally purchase a Petal Sta. So it looks like this. And this is my petal. It comes with the Velcro that you stick to your petal to stick it on here. And this is not just for people with hard floors. It also, like the hard floor, it comes with this little rubbery pad that you stick on if you have a hard floor. But if you have carpet, it has the little spikies, kind of like an office chair mat would have. So it sticks to your carpet too. And I didn't realize exactly how annoying it was to always be scooting my petal back towards me until I didn't have to do it anymore. It's such a nice relief. So I'll definitely be getting another one of these for my serger. It's worth every penny. I'm gonna link to all of these items in the description below. So if you need one of these, you can go grab one too. Okay, the next thing is, and I talked about this a little bit in my recent pin cushion tutorial, I got new pins, and I sort of agonized over which pins to get. All of mine were pretty dull. If it's been several years since you've got new pins, you might want to think about replacing them. We don't always think about things getting dull like that, like our scissors do, but they do get dull. And so I ended up getting 2 different kinds. I first got these glass head pins, but they're very hard to see, like the little heads, because they're glass, you know. But it is nice to have pins that you can iron over and that are small enough for things like piecing. Also, these are very fine pins, so they're very sharp. They won't leave holes in my fabric or anything. But because they weren't as practical, I actually really do love these for piecing and patchwork. I've been making these quilt squares. I'm working on a quilt pattern. This is a sneak peek. And I found myself really reaching for these little guys a lot. But for everyday use, I ended up getting these magic pins. I have them in this pin cushion here. The reason I like this pin cushion is because now that I have a few different kinds of pins, these pin cushions keep them separated, which is nice. I will for sure link you to this tutorial again. So they come in packaging like this, and they do sell them online, but I was having a hard time discerning like which size I needed because they come, I think, in 4 sizes. And some of them are really little, some of them are really long. Next I'm going to buy the long ones, but I wanted these medium ones for now, so they have little samples. So I bought them in person at Hobby Lobby, but I'll link you to them online too. And I really love these. Even though they're not glass heads, you can still iron over them. They don't melt, which is cool. They're also really easy to grip. And unlike the little glass heads, I can see them when I drop them on the floor. So if you need new pins, I definitely recommend these magic pins. But if you're a quilter, I also recommend these glass pins. These are the Dritz brand, and they're really nice, very sharp. So I'll link to both of those for sure. Okay, the next 2 things are also quilting related. And I'm going to demonstrate these for you so you can see how they work. The first is this square ruler. I have a few sizes of rulers. I almost always just use my regular long one. It's like not even that long, it's like medium. But I never had a square one, and I really love this. I think for quilting especially, and I've just been doing a lot more quilting lately. I just find it really fun and therapeutic. And I'm just trying to beef up the quilting site of my website and YouTube channel, so I've just been doing a lot more quilting. So I went ahead and got this little 4-inch square quilting ruler, and here's why I like it. Okay, this is what I really love about this ruler. I have here an extra little mat. Some people have mats that are on like a turntable, but I find this just as easy if I need to turn my piece. So I have here marked my 2.5 inches because I'm making 2.5-inch blocks. And when you make half square triangles like this, they always need trimmed down. So this little ruler is so easy to trim my block down. It has this diagonal line, the 45 degrees, and I can just place it on the line and trim it to 2.5 inches. And then if I needed to trim the other side, I could just turn it around like this. So it's so easy to trim my half square triangles. And if you ever like paper piecing or anything like that, this little mat is handy. And just having a small ruler rather than trimming tiny pieces with large rulers, which can be just kind of fussy. So I really like this. Also, I always get asked about my measuring tape, masking tape. I'll link you to that too. It's Scotch brand. Super easy to find. I know some quilters also recommend having a 5-inch square, mostly because if you buy a, what is it called, a charm pack or a layer cake? Which one is the 5-inch squares? You can buy packs of already pre-cut fabrics, and one of them is 5 inches exactly. So if you're working with 5-inch squares, it makes sense to have a 5-inch square ruler, I guess. But also I put my little Sure Grips, these grippy dots on the back. I've talked about these in a different video like this, and they're one of my favorite things. They make it so your ruler does not slide around. So now I immediately put them on all my rulers. I'll link you to those too. Okay, my next thing is also a quilting tool, and it is this beauty of a foot for my sewing machine. Kind of fuzzy. It's a 1/4-inch foot. You can see it has this black ledge right here, and you just simply run your fabric along that and it creates a perfect 1/4-inch seam. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But I bought the one that is specifically made for my Janome. I got this machine a year ago and I still just could not be happier. You can check out my review of it. It's a Memorycraft 6650, and it has seriously leveled up my quilting. I used to have so much trouble getting blocks that ended up the right size, or that by the time I was on the outer layers of the block, everything still fit together because I just wasn't accurate with my 1/4-inch seams. So this machine and this foot, all my seams are beautiful. In fact, I just made this really complicated block. Let me get it and I'll show you. It looks like this. Isn't it so pretty? It's from, I got this book from a used bookstore on vacation one time. And it was printed in 1990. It's by Judy Martin. She's appeared in some YouTube videos, so I'll try to link you to an interview with her, but her work is just beautiful. It makes me want to make all these quilt blocks. But you can see all of these pieces are really small, and usually I would try to make something like this, and by the time I got out here, nothing was fitting right anymore. But I didn't have any issues like that. I ended up with the size of block I was supposed to end up with at the end without having to finagle pieces to make them fit like I used to. So let me show you how the 1/4-inch foot works. Okay, so all you have to do is clip your 1/4-inch foot on. My machine has a special setting for my 1/4-inch foot. See how the needle usually is in the middle, but if I push this stitch, it not only moves my needle over to be a perfect 1/4-inch to go with this foot for Janome, it also lowers my stitch length, which for piecing, quilt piecing, you usually want to have a lower stitch length. So mine is set to 1.8 instead of my usual 2.5. And then I can just stitch my 1/4-inch seam by running my fabric along this black ledge. And then I get this perfect, beautiful 1/4-inch. Okay, so this is one of those things that if you can buy the foot that's made for your machine and your model, I do think it's better because I've had 1/4-inch feet before that was just sort of a universal foot that anybody can put on any machine. And it did help, it was fine. But it definitely wasn't quite as accurate. So if you do that, make sure you're measuring, you do sort of a test and sort of adjust your practice until it's a perfect 1/4-inch. Because in quilting, it is pretty darn important. There's a huge ant on my wall. Ew. I got it though. Anyway, okay, the last thing I promised would be really fun, and it is really fun. I am a big fan of buying zippers in bulk. Not just in bulk, I also buy them at thrift stores. That's why I have these vintage ones. Usually at thrift stores, they'll just package them up in big bags and you can just buy zippers. If I see them at yard sales, I always buy them. And so I always have a stash on hand. Not because I can always use them when I'm making a dress or a skirt or whatever, but oftentimes I can. But sometimes a dress especially needs like a specific length and a specific color. But on other things, I find it very helpful to just have zippers in my Tupperware tub. Yeah, this is vintage Tupperware, it's funny. So I do have this big stash, but I really love these YKK zippers is the brand name. And I think these are 14 inches. Yeah, these are 14 inches, and then you can buy a big pack of them with all these different colors. They're not very expensive. I started buying these when I was teaching kids sewing, And it was just fun for them to pick out a color. But whenever I run low, I make sure I grab another pack of them on Amazon. But this time, I spotted these really fun, colorful ones with these ringed zipper pulls. And look how every zipper has a different color teeth. I think they're so much fun. So I'm going to link you to these. They were so cheap too. This is a huge pack of zippers. I think I paid $11. So fun. I bought them because I've been kind of into making zipper pouches. Because I've been kind of into making quilt blocks. This is how things go for me. I like get this bug and I want to make something, but it can't be like a whole quilt because I don't have time for that. And I want to try all the quilt blocks in this book or online that I keep seeing. And so I keep making blocks like this. I just wanted to try the the disappearing block. I watched this video. I'll link you to it. It was great. On how to make these disappearing quilt blocks with strip piecing, and then you cut them up and put them back together. So I want to try it, but I don't necessarily want to make a quilt out of it. So I keep ending up with these solitary quilt blocks. So I started making them into zipper pouches. I think I'm going to make a video on this. This is probably my next one. So keep your eyeballs open for that. And then so I made this one. This one I had this beautiful chartreuse looking linen and this really pretty older Anna Maria Horner print. And I only had the tiniest bit, so I just made these little blocks and I made it into a zipper pouch. This one has a vintage zipper on it. So cute. There's linen inside too. So I like to have these fun zippers on hand just for that, for those kinds of things. And I find them very useful for more than I always think I will. So I always think, oh, I'll never use those. And then before I know it, my zippers are all used up. So I'll link you to all of these things below. If you have got anything new recently that you feel like I should know about, please tell me about it in the comments. And stay tuned for this tutorial coming up soon. See ya, bye.